So I'm Ryan Henry from WSOU News here at the New Jersey Higher Education Mental Summit with Darryl McDaniels. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really, really, really good today. And if I wasn't, I would tell you how I would feel anyway, because that's what's important about mental health.
Yeah, obviously communication is key. This is something you mentioned as well. How important is it for this event to be happening at this moment, especially with the recent timely passing of a Seton Hall student due to suicide?
Oh, for sure. It's very timely, and you need to keep the dialogue going. I hate when we speak. I hate when an incident happens. We talk about it, but then everybody's silent. The reason why the stigma and silence exists with mental health is because everybody else is silent. Like I said, when I got out of therapy, when I got out of rehab where I discovered therapy, and people saw me, and I would tell them what I was going through. This is what hurt me. They would say, D, I've never told anybody this. Now imagine if you never met DMC. That means you would never tell anybody. You said communication is important. What's really important here, in the college campuses, it doesn't have to be here to read this book. No, you have to do it in real time in the places where the students is at. Because think about it like this. Here in the colleges, here in the schoolyards, here in the streets of New York, a lot of harmful, destructive behavior is celebrated among young people. The guy that smokes all the weed, the person that drinks all the alcohol. Oh, take this. We celebrate taking ecstasy. How did you feel last night? Before you take a drug and ask me how I feel, you never asked me how did I feel when I woke up this morning. So doing it here on the college campuses in real time consistently will raise the level of awareness among the students to where they do two things. The students need to have the confidence and the courage to know when something's wrong, and it's super, super cool to go ask for help. They think it's weak. They think you're crazy. They think you're a weirdo. And a perfect example coming out of music for me, let's say hip hop. Do people know that the message was a mental health record? It's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how I keep don't push me, cause I'm close. We spoke about it, and then we created the next movement was Planet Rock. We know we can be okay. So the message was a perfect example. We're living in death, darkness, and destruction, despair, and depression. But if we talk about it, we can find the solutions, not to just, if I help myself, that means I can help others.
Thank you. And one of those methods you said of therapy, reaching out, you're a partner of it. They've partnered with New Jersey universities. Can you talk a bit about that service and what it's been able to bring to students in the New Jersey area?
Okay, with the students. Now, one of the things that when I got involved with one of the beautiful things about is it gave all the colleges and universities and all the places of higher learning and education their props. Y'all have people. You'll have offices, you'll have people that the students can talk to. All is doing is making it easier for the students to have instant access that night, that afternoon, that morning, no matter what it is, so they can address it now. So, because sometimes waiting an hour is too late. You know what I'm saying? So coming here, I think we got 44 schools here in Jersey. We probably have 300 schools overall. All we are doing is assisting y'all. Why? Because collaboration and cooperation is the only thing that's going to change the situation. These kids are watching their favorite movie stars, entertainers, and even the athletes kill themselves. They're watching people OD and stuff like that. So they're looking at it like, oh, that's what you're supposed to do. No, you're not supposed to. Why? Because you will go through something. You will feel a certain way. You will feel afraid. You will feel scared. You will be confused. You will is just making it possible that you will have somebody to talk to immediately. Like when I spoke downstairs, my first day of college, I was scared to death. I didn't know what these feelings and emotion was, so I didn't go talk to the guidance counselor. I went back to Hollis and got me a 40-ounce of Old English to solve my problem. Now, that's good. I got drunk, but when it wore off, it felt worse than I did before. So we want to be able to catch the kid who's thinking about killing him or herself today. So they should hear, oh, you mean it's cool if I talk about it? It's cool? It's cool to be a weirdo. You know what I'm saying? What I say, DMC in a place to be. Darryl makes comics just like Stan Lee, like Peter Parker. I come from Queens, like T'Challa. I am a king. I represent all the nerds and geeks. Where's DMC when he's not in the streets? I'm here at the school telling these kids you have the power, and it's okay to be going through something. You know, a lot of times, like when I said I was going to something, the first thing my friends want to talk to me is about the Grammys and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and my Adidas contracts and walking this way with Aerosmith. No, they hit you with things that don't mean nothing if you ain't mentally right. These students are brilliant. These students are talented. These students have amazing abilities, but doesn't the death of Anthony Bourdain tell you something? So I'm not special. I'm just like them. I just want to give them the confidence and courage to seek help when it's needed. And if the universities talk about it in a way that lets them know there's nothing wrong with them. The only thing that is wrong is you got something going on with your mental. But I don't look at you crazy when you say, D, I got a toothache. Go to the dentist. Yo, I'm not feeling right. I'm depressed. I'm suicidal. Go get some therapy. And it got to the point where I was speaking to some students and older folks, and I was like, yo, when you go to therapy, it does two powerful things for you. It lets you do this. It lets you repeat stuff that you said to yourself that you didn't listen to. Because a lot of times the depression and emotion goes, oh, I know I'm not supposed to take that tab of acid. And then you do it, and it takes you further down. So it's your body, and you're responding to something that you're doing wrong. You're behaving wrong. So you can go to therapy and repeat stuff you know you said to yourself, but you didn't listen. That's why you feel bad, because you didn't listen to yourself. And you can say stuff to yourself. It's you. I tell people, the therapist doesn't help you. The therapist is a decoy. The therapist is actually you looking in the mirror, talking about things that you need to hear yourself say. So in a college setting, hip-hop is cool, rock and roll is cool, metal is cool, being how we won the game last night is cool. Waking up feeling different and going to do something about it is even cooler. So that's what I'm trying to do. Stigma only exists because we're not talking about it like it can go away. Oh, the stigma is associated with it. Why does stigma got to be associated with mental health? Let's get to the point where the word stigma doesn't exist. So having dialogue about it, continue dialogue about it, having conversations about it, and also talking about it in all of our real life situations. I was saying a rhyme one time, and this person is looking at me like, oh, there's no place for that DMC. That made me even want to talk about it more. Made me want to talk about my struggles with alcoholism, my struggles with suicide, my struggles with depression, because isn't hip-hop about keeping it real? So, and this is how I shut down the stigma with of what's cool or not. Oh, so I'm cool if I smoke more blunts than Snoop Dogg and drink more beers than a rock and roll star. Yeah. But I'm just as cool if I say I don't smoke blunts and I don't drink anymore. I've been sober for 20 years. So what I do with that is I brag about it. You know, people brag about their cars, they brag about the money, they brag about all the weed they smoke. We got to use that same attitude. Ice-T always say, yo, Run-DMC made positivity gangster. So we got to make things that people perceive as weak, soft, and not powerful. We got to talk about it like it's powerful. And by having this type of dialogue, this is what rock and roll is. Addressing the issues that politics and religion can't solve, because people are always going to feel a certain way. But if we let them know it's okay to feel a certain way, tomorrow can be a better day. Oh, I got to use that as a rap.
Did you just think of another rap during this?
Yeah, for sure.
That's good to hear. So I want to talk a bit about your story. Obviously, a lot of people don't really know of your story. They only know of the Adidas, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the music. So kind of obviously you spoke a lot about during the conversation. But for those who maybe weren't listening or for seeing it now, tell us a little bit about your story and how you got to where you are now, especially with therapy and all that.
Well, let me go back a little bit. I've always had a problem, but I didn't know it was a problem. Because like I said, prior to 1993, when I woke up depressed and suicidal, I was drinking a case of 40-ounce bottles of Old English 800. You know the 40 ounces in the hood? Now, some people drink 3 and 4. Hey, he drinks all of it. I was drinking a case a day, and nobody thought it was wrong. They thought it was the coolest thing ever for me, though. So in 1990, I was diagnosed with acute pancreatitis. So the first thing that happened was my mental was all out of whack, and then the body responds to how the mental is. So in 1990, I was diagnosed with acute pancreatitis. And I was in the hospital for a month and a half, had to take everything intravenously. I couldn't take nothing orally. So fortunately, my pancreas didn't die, and my liver was okay. So when I got released from the hospital, my doctor looked at me and he said, D, you have 2 choices in life. You cannot drink and live, and you can drink and die. So from 90 to 93, well, to 96, from 90 to 96, I'm not drinking anything. But in 93, Run-D.M.C, in the 90s, because we was an 80s group, in the 90s, we put out another hit record that did for, Down Went to King was a song that did for Run-D.M.C what Run-D.M.C did for Aerosmith in 1986. It brought us back. So the minute that happened in the 90s, here I am, I'm back on MTV, I'm back on the road, I'm back on the radio, and we're doing everything that we was doing in the 80s at a higher level. I woke up depressed, and I didn't know why, what it was. I had this void in me. So I didn't know what was going on with me. I'm living with this depression, then I'm thinking, okay, if I die tomorrow, people know the Run-D.M.C stuff. They know the music and the videos, but they don't know Darryl. So I said, just in case I kill myself, I want to write a book. And I want to tell the world, yo, what's up, yo? I'm Darryl McDaniels from Run-D.M.C. You know me. But I'm really just Darryl Matthews McDaniels from Queens, New York, just like everybody else. I knew my birthday was May 31st, 1964. I called my mother up to ask for more information about the day that I was born. In that phone call, she let me know that I was adopted. Now, I'm depressed and suicidal, and I just found out I was adopted. Then after that, Jam Master Jay gets shot and killed. Then after that, my father's died. So you know where I was at. I didn't know I could go help. I didn't know I should go speak to somebody. What did I do? The very thing that I can't do, I went back to. Started drinking again. So I'm drinking. My wife is cursing me out. MIF, you're not supposed to be drinking because you had pancreatitis. You could die. But subconsciously, I found a way that I could kill myself. Let me drink. I don't have to shoot myself. I don't have to hang myself. So I'm committing suicide by drinking. Long story short, I meet another adopted person. So when I met this other adopted person, first lesson is you're not alone, Darryl. You're not the only adopted person in the world. I didn't get to the fact that I'm not the only depressed person yet. I'm happy I could deal with this adopted thing. So it's through my adoption journey where this person said, D, you can find your birth mother to find your beginning. Okay, I'm going to go down that road, but let me go get be of sound body and mind. So in order to be of sound body and mind, I got to go get clean and sober. So it wasn't until I went into rehab to stop drinking where I discovered this powerful thing called therapy. And it was in therapy I was able to cure and heal myself and defeat and beat everything that I was struggling with. So now, that was just for me. Cool. I get out of therapy, I start meeting people, DMC, where you been? Well, I was in rehab and therapy. Everybody I told my story to said this. They either said, me too, Darryl, or if it wasn't them, my wife, my daughter, my sister, mom, everybody knew somebody struggling with something. So then I realized the same way I made all of these records and talked about how great and good my life was, I'm even people gotta understand this, I'm 1,000,000 times more incredible, awesome, and magnificent, telling people about the times that I was struggling. Why? Because it helps other people to admit that they are struggling too, but it forces them to do something about it. Because they look at me and go, man, if the mighty DMC can go get help, then maybe it's cool. They've been told, dudes, I'm not going to tell you I'm going to something because you might think some way about me. But I'm doing it like, yeah, man, I'm an alcoholic, suicide, and metaphysical record, went to rehab and therapy. And I'm making a powerful thing to do. So that's why I'm sitting here today. Because I'm telling my truth that is everybody's truth. And if you remove guilt and shame from this, you remove the pain. And if you don't admit how you feel, whether good or bad, you never heal. So if I'm not feeling good, yo, D, how you feel? I'm feeling. If we're all supposed to be 10s and I'm feeling like a 3, I'm gonna let you know I'm a 3, because if I say something about it, I'll find a person, place, a thing that will get me back to the 10. So I want the students to know this. I am a living, breathing example and proof that number one, you don't have to kill yourself. That is not the way, that is for them, that is not the only way out. There's a million better ways out. And if you want to know, come talk to me and I'll let you know.
So one of the things you mentioned, I remember I was looking up that Angel by Sarah McLachlan was a song that really helped you out during, especially when you're going through it. And I know music has helped you out, especially even now. A lot of the way you help people, you talk about through rhyme rapping because of what you're used to. So what has the impact been for music in terms of you healing, and what have you seen in terms of others as well?
It's all emotional. I'm sitting there going through the worst time of my life, and I hear Angel on the phone. I hear Angel on the radio. Then I get to meet Sarah McLachlan, and I tell her, "You're an angel. The name of the song is Angel. You sing it, you sound like an angel, but you're not an angel to me. You're God. I listen to your record every day." Because it was the only thing that the vibration of the record made me go, okay, life is crazy, but it's okay. It was only because it was just something emotional, vibrational about the music. But what's surprising to me about the Angel song is when I go out to her house to work with her, she could have told me when I first met her. She waited till after we finished recording a song together to go, "D, there's something I need you to know." And I go, "What?" She goes, "I was adopted too, and I didn't know that." But that feeling of vibration. So music is the way, I have a saying, music succeeds where politics and religion fails. Or I should say the arts succeed because imagine now when you're dealing with a mental health issue, there might be a person who don't want to get up and put it on a song, who might not want to get up and do a play about it, who might not want to get up and do a spoken word, who might not want to write a poem about what they're going through, but they'll draw a picture. A lot of times when you're sitting down and somebody's going through something, I'm not going to tell you. But if I put a pen, if you're an artist and I put a pen in pens and you draw it, and I can go, "Oh, well, this is beautiful. Why did you do that?" And they say, "Well, I've been my mother's." But a lot of times we get diagnosed. "No, the book says you have to take this drug and you have to go through it." No. Push all that to the side. So we have to get people, we have to let the students know, we have to give the students the confidence to express what you're going through without any guilt or shame. So for me, even when I was in therapy, my therapist hit me with this. In the fourth therapist session, she goes, "Don't you know you was kind of doing some mental health self-healing while I was drinking a lot to suppress my emotion. But the thing that would allow me to operate and get through the day was she looked at all my works and said, "Don't you know most of your powerful songs start with the two words, I am." You know about I am. I am the king of rock. I am the son of Byford. I am the microphone master. I am the devastator, my controller. So when I was doing this I am thing in a positive way, it was all manifesting in my life. But when my mental started going through things, I was taking the alcohol to suppress it and not look at it. So now musically, when I'm writing a song, I'm not going to be, I'm going to be more attractive and interesting than the psychologist. I got to look at what a psychologist and a therapist is trying to do, and then I got to try to write a song to make it cool, to say, "Yeah, I'm suicidal, but it's all about survival." You know what I'm saying? I read the book and I read the Bible, because sometimes we are liable to this. I got to encourage, I got to make it attractive to show that weakness is power, confusion is power. So I have to put it in my music, but what I'm trying to say is you can't be preachy with it. Like, you can bring somebody here in front of the class. Today, class, he's going to talk about mental health. So if this guy starts reading scientific he's smiling. You don't want to hear that, right? But you want to hear somebody just get up in front of you and say, "Yeah, I was thinking of jumping. I'm DMC of Run-D.M.C. from a band that changed the world. The reason why Korn, Limp Bizkit, Blink 182 exists, and I was going to kill myself now." Whoa. What? You? So once you do that, you have to let the students see themselves as being okay in these situations. Because think about it like this. I watch all of and this, I guess this is true in the movies when the college kids have their parties and they do that big alcohol drinking thing and they drink till they can't walk no more. There's something that drives an individual. It could be some type of trauma. So my trauma for me, I discovered, was me being given up at birth from my birth mother to my adoptive, which was a beautiful thing. But I was in a position to go, what are you doing? You're taking me from something happened to me. So, when I went to therapy, my brother, who is my mother and father's biological son, his side of the rooms we shared were all messy, like knew he was going to stay there. My side of the room, for some reason, I wouldn't make my bed. I'm very neat. I'm OCD with neatness. My therapist said that's because your subconscious prepared you to be moved again. If you understand what I'm saying. So in order for me to deal with a traumatic situation in my life that I never sat down and talked about I could have probably talked about it, let's say in middle school. But because I wasn't never given that opportunity, when I discovered alcohol, it wasn't only because I liked to hide. It was doing something to suppress something that was going on with me. So I would drink a case of Old English a day. Oh, I feel great, but when it wore off, I felt worse than I did before I started drinking. So when they said, D, you was diagnosed with suppressed emotions, now the thing that helps me not drink, I realize I have a power. Now, some people, it's not as easy for them, but I started understanding what I was doing. And I started understanding what's going on around me. Of course, there's going to be pressure at work. Of course, there's going to be pressure with your family. Of course, I'm going to be hurt if my girlfriend leaves me. But sometimes when you break up, it's a good thing because that means there's something better for you. But I had to go through something to learn all of that. But the most important thing is, of course, you're going to be crazy because we all go through crazy things. Now I know I don't have to drink anymore. So that student who jumped or OD'd or whatever has to know, that seems like the only option, because the only time people talk about committing suicide is when people do it. We got to change that.
You mentioned, you're talking about changing the stigma. What is that first step someone has to take to kind of break through and, like you said, eliminate the stigma, but take that first step in towards recovery and getting that help?
It's very easy, but I'm going to take it to a bigger thing. I was speaking one time, and somebody said, yo, DMC, man, you got money. You can go pay for a therapist. My family, I'm just by myself. And I said this. Wow, that's deep. I said this. There's always someone. Here's the first step. There's always someone that you can think of that even if it don't bring a smile to your face, it brings a smile to your heart that you can think of. That's the person you seek out, and you do what people did to me when I told them. These people never met me. D, I've never told anybody this. Maybe it's the man down at the grocery store that saw you grow up. You don't want to tell your mother. You're my best friend. I don't want to tell you. I don't want to tell my mother. I don't want to tell my teachers. I don't want to tell my counselors. I'm going through this. I want to jump. I want to whatever it is mentally anorexic. You go to that person. Hey, how you doing, Darryl? Yeah, I've known you since you was 3 years old. I hear you now. You're at Seton Hall University, this and that. You got to go, excuse, can I talk to you about something I never told anybody? There's always someone, if you're afraid, and that's okay, to tell your mother and father and your brother and your family and your counselors. There's always someone that you can think of that you have to go and say, I feel like killing myself. Because once that person receives this, now you're on your way to getting healed. So if you don't have the budget, but here in Seton Hall, that's why we put You Will here. So when you do feel like that, at least you could talk to somebody at 3 in the morning, at 4 in the morning, before you walk out that door. You gotta have a go-to, and your go-to is yourself, but sometimes yourself isn't enough. That's the thing that caused you to give up. So, for instance, I was speaking at a middle school one time, and when I was speaking with the little kids, I would say, I woke up one day and it was very, very sad, and one kid was funny, he was like, how can you be sad and you know Cardi B? And I was like, yeah, I know Beyonce, because that's how they think, and they think those are the things that make you all right. And then I said, no, when I was feeling really, really sad one time, I went and I talked to somebody. I know you heard of the thing called therapy, right? So when I was speaking about being adopted, there was one little kid, when it was Q&A time, his whole thing was this. It was a 5th grader. How did you feel, this is funny, how did you feel when your mother and father told you you couldn't stay up late at night to watch the show? There was times when I was little and my mother said, no, you can't go outside, get in that building, get ready for school. And we do the thing, you go pray to God, God, can you kill my mother because she didn't let me go out and play? But when that was happening to this kid, how did you feel when, of course, it does something to them. I said, I was hurt and I was sad. And then he said, how did you feel when you found out you was adopted? How did you feel about being a foster kid? Because I found out I was adopted and was a foster kid. So the teacher goes, D, this is amazing, because that kid never says anything to anybody. But once he heard this grown man, DMC, that his mother and father knows is the greatest thing that ever happened in hip-hop, talking about he went through something, he's adopted like me, he started asking questions about it. And then the last thing he said was, so what do I do if I'm feeling real sad? Because his whole thing was, I'm adopted here, some kids tease me for it, and I feel like I'm the only one in the school. And I told this kid, who's your favorite teacher in here? And he said, I forgot the lady's name, but just for example, he said it was Miss Brown in the library. And I'm saying Miss Brown because that was my librarian. But I forgot the kid said, I love Miss Brown in the library. So I said, anytime you're feeling a certain way, go speak to Miss Brown. If it's in the middle of class or whatever and you're feeling a certain way, ask your teacher, can you do that? So life goes on. 3 weeks later, he's having a incident. And he's funny, Mr. DMC said, so the teacher said, all right, go to the librarian. He goes to the librarian, 5th grader. Miss Brown, there's something I need to tell you. I'm adopted and I'm feeling anxious. And he lets it out the bag. And Miss Brown goes, oh my God, Charlie. No, it wasn't Charlie. It was, oh my God, what was this kid's name? Raphael or something. Oh my God, Raphael. And he hit Raphael with this, oh my God. Now, Raphael came to her because DMC said there's somebody. I don't want to talk to the principal. I want to talk to Miss Brown. She goes, oh, my God, Raphael. Grown lady to this 5-year-old. I've never told anybody this either. I'm adopted, too. So now they sat there, they talked. He goes back to class. He's like this. And when he comes to school now, he's like this. Now he ain't caring about nothing. Why? Because he knows he's not alone. So he spoke up. So now, when he does get to high school, when he does get to Seton Hall, he's over that hurdle. So it's all about us having conversation and dialogues to get the people over the hurdles that will lead them down into the depths of darkness and despair. Those characteristics for me was always there to be depressed. And I didn't address them because I was drinking every opportunity all the way up till I was 35 to overcome it. So if we talk about mental health in these classrooms, when these kids do graduate and move on in lives, they will have the tools necessary for them to continue to do the good works that they were put here to be. We don't want the student to, there's a student, when a student here killed themselves, there's a whole bunch of other students that feel like that, but they're not saying it now. So by not having continued dialogue about them, they wait for us to, I'm going to do what the student did. No, if we have continued dialogue about it, maybe the students will think about not only the situation of suicide and drinking, they'll think about themselves differently. I'm a geek and a nerd. I never was in a gang. I never went to jail. I never sold drugs. I took some, but I never sold them, and I became the king of hip-hop. What's more gangster than that? And how did I overcome that? By keeping it real and not being ashamed to admit I need help.
Yeah, definitely getting that conversation going, keeping it real. Well, thank you for joining us here on WSOU News. Thank you once again. Thank you for taking your time.
No, thank you. I think you guys are fly because you heard me downstairs. I said I hate when these media shows will talk about a situation like mental health, but they only talked about it because someone just killed themselves. Okay, such and such just killed themselves. Every day they need to have a little segment so the people, your audience watching are the ones that's struggling too. Don't just talk about it because a so-called celebrity did it. We got to normalize. Once we normalize the mental health struggle, stigma is not even a word to talk about now. Now we're talking about people addressing their mental health struggles. Stigma exists because it's not the cool thing because nobody talks about it. Well, then talk about it more. Put it on a record. You know what I'm saying? Do what they're doing here. This is the most beautiful thing ever. That's why I had to ask. Did y'all do this before? No, this is the first one. You have to. You have to.
Well, thank you once again.
Thank you for having me in the place to be.